An alert is being issued to pediatricians around the country about children with eating disorders. The number of children under the age of 12 with disorders is exploding, and the American Academy of Pediatrics just updated their guidelines for young patients that all doctors should be aware of. Dr. Richard Besser is here to brief us on those new guidelines. And Rich, how big a problem is this?
You know, George, it's one of those under-recognized problems. Between 1999 and 2006, the number of children under 12 hospitalized with eating disorders more than doubled, from about 500 to 1,000. And very few children with eating disorders even end up in the hospital. So what they're saying is doctors need to screen for this, be aware of it, and learn how to manage these problems.
So what exactly do they want the doctors to do?
Well, a lot of it is looking at a child and then asking them some basic questions. One thing I'll always ask a child is whether they feel that they're too heavy, too thin, or just right. And that can be a way to open a conversation about body image and body size. And once you identify a child with an eating problem, you need to really look to refer that child to someone who's a specialist in that area.
And of course, this is also important information for parents.
That's right. Parents are key. Parents will see what's going on at home, whether there are issues around food and how children are dealing with food, and can bring those questions and concerns to their pediatrician's attention.
Okay, Rich, stand by here because now Andrea Cannon is going to join us. She's got to look at parents who are concerned about their baby's weight. You know, babies are expected to pack on pounds as they grow, but the rising trend in obesity across the country has some parents wondering, is my baby too fat?
George, a lot of parents are worried about weight. Like adults and children, babies and toddlers have also been getting fatter. 1 in 10 children under the age of 2 is now overweight. Experts say there's even a new category of overweight kids called the super obese. We take a closer look at what some parents are doing to control their baby's weight.
I love her roly-poly arms.
You look at her little tubby tummy.
It's hard to resist pinching those adorable pudgy cheeks. Could chubby be on its way out? SNL poked fun at parents who will stop at nothing to give their baby the perfect body.
Do you have a fat baby? That's why you need Baby Spanx. In no time, your baby will go from flab to fab.
But in real life, doctors say with obesity rates among children doubling over the past 2 decades, more and more moms and dads are actually putting their babies on diets.
There are some parents who are very pleased when their children are thin. A lot of fathers even, they're like, yes, my daughter's thin.
Should we take some fruit?
Jody Hazan admits it's a fear she lives with every day. She's struggled with weight her whole life and doesn't want to see her 1.5-year-old daughter, Maya, experience the same heartache.
Do you ever feel like you're a little bit obsessive about her weight?
Yes, sure. I don't want her to have any of the problems that I had, the self-consciousness, the health issues, and I want her to have a good self-esteem.
Jody carefully designs each meal to include fruits and vegetables. Maya is in the 25th percentile for weight, and Jody admits she wasn't concerned when she didn't gain any weight at her last checkup.
So I guess I didn't need to scoop out your bagel the other day.
No, you don't need to scoop out her bagel. No, give her the whole bagel.
During this visit, Maya has gained a pound, and her pediatrician, Dr. Blair Hammond, says she's healthy. Her biggest concern is when a child drops between the 5th and 10th percentile for weight. An extreme example recently made headlines in Washington state. Prosecutors say Brittany and Sam Laberton starved their baby out of vanity. They feared their daughter would grow up to be an overweight adult like her father.
I just wish this whole thing never would have happened, and I wish I would have known better.
But court documents show Brittany told Child Services, quote, "Oh my God, she's fat. I have a fat baby," when her daughter gained a lot of weight after being put in foster care. Laberton claims she said that only because she thought the weight gain was happening too fast. The big baby discussion was also a big debate on the website Mom Logic, where one mom blogged about another in her playgroup who put water in her baby's bottle to keep his weight down at just 7 months. Readers were outraged. One wrote, "This mother is setting her child up for developmental delays and eating disorders. That, my friend, is abuse, plain and simple."
You don't want to project a lot of anxiety and stress about eating to your kids. How many mothers are stressed and dieting all the time, and their kids get that as a role model of how to eat?
We've never had a lolly before.
Do you ever worry that by worrying about her weight from such a young age that she may have psychological issues in the future about weight?
I do worry about that as she gets older. I have to control myself from telling her what to do when she has to make her own decisions. It's important to live long and be healthy, but hopefully it won't be important for her to think about it every day, the way that I think about it every day.
And Andrea and Rich join us now. And Andrea, this is a very personal story for you as well. Your daughter, Charlie, just 6 months old.
She is, and she's in the 95th percentile for weight, which is pretty high, and she's very chubby looking, and she gets a lot of comments about how big she is. The doctor said maybe try feeding her less, but you try taking a bottle away from a 6-month-old. It doesn't work. She stops when she's done. I don't feel comfortable feeding her less.
Also, Rich, a chubby baby is a happy baby. I gotta believe it's a healthy baby.
Yeah, it can be, but it isn't always. It's about learning to respond to cues. Babies have an internal set point. So if they're hungry, they'll eat, and when they're not hungry, they'll stop. And if parents respond to that and feed their babies when they're hungry and then stop when they're not, that's great. New parents, though, and you're not a new parent, you have a lot of experience. New parents will often use a bottle or feeding to deal with crying for any reason. And so if a child's already just fed and is crying, you want to make sure, well, are they wet? Are they tired? Do they just want to be hugged? And realize that every time a child cries isn't necessarily a call for food. But a child who is listening to those cues and is chubby, and is growing on their curve like Charlie is, that's great. That's a happy, healthy baby. And you want to reduce the anxiety that a parent may have around that.
Yeah, I think that's terrible when the parents inflict their anxiety about food onto the child, because I just think you're setting yourself up for disaster. My personal opinion.
Very important thing to remember. Okay, Rich, Andrea, thanks.